What's up, guys? Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. If you're new here, my name is Kaori, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for tuning into yet another video. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about how to successfully start your own business in 2024. And now starting a business is something that is not easy. I started my first one when I was 15 years old and I'm currently 23. And I will tell you, over the last few years, I went through a lot of difficult points in my businesses. The place where I am right now with everything that I have going on, I'm really happy that I did go through some of those struggles because it helped to mold me into the business owner that I am today, as well as it plays a big part in the reason why I am as knowledgeable as I am now, because a lot of things happens through experience. So before I get into the video, I do want to give you guys a little bit of a backstory on how I started my first business and how I was able to get to the point where I am today before I do jump into giving you guys some tips on how you can start, but not only start, but also being able to build yourself up. I started my first business when I was 15 years old. I honestly can't remember where I got the idea from to become an entrepreneur, but I just remember that one day I was strictly just going to school and being a teenager to me going to school, being a teenager, and starting my own hair company. And I remember thinking that this was gonna be such a walk in the park. I honestly thought that I was gonna just find a hair vendor and that was gonna be the person that I stayed with forever. Things were gonna be so easy, and boom, now I'm successful. I feel like at that point in my life, I really just more so liked the idea of being able to say, hey, I own my own business, versus the other kids who were probably like working at McDonald's, working at the movies, and doing things like that. So when I got my first hair sample, I will never forget. I got my first sample. I tried the hair on, y'all. The hair was so bad. Like, it was really, really bad. And that's when I got my first like awakening as to, okay, this is not gonna be as easy as I thought that it was. Throughout the process of trying different hair vendors, because it took me a very long time, it took a couple of years for me to find a good vendor. I had okay ones throughout the process, but it took me a really long time to find the vendor that I do currently have. While I was going through that process, I was starting other businesses as well. I'm one of those entrepreneurs where my mind does not settle. Like, I can see something today and by tomorrow I'm doing it. Like, I just am so passionate, I get so intrigued, and I just love the idea of being my own boss and having the ability to start things and seeing it prosper. I started selling lip glosses, I sold eyelashes, I sold bonnets, I did a couple of other stuff too, but those were like the three main things that kind of played a part in the experiences that I now treasure. One of my main problems was not understanding that finances really plays a big part as a business owner. And what I mean by that is I was making a lot of money off of my ventures, but I was not saving the money and reinvesting back into the business. Every time I would sell out, I would just bring myself back to square one, because every time I would get paid, I would just spend the money. I wouldn't even be thinking about the fact that, girl, you're gonna have to re-up on inventory, you're gonna have to pay for packaging, you're gonna have to pay for this, you're gonna have to pay for that. So that was one of the biggest things that I learned, that I will say plays a vital part in how I run my businesses now, because I budget and I finance to a T. When I tell you I don't play any games, I always get paid last. As a business owner, once you get to that point in your business where if you have one of the businesses where you have employees, you're always going to be the last person to get paid. You're the first person to come in, you're the last person to leave, you're the last person to get paid. Like, it's just a whole process. I just love the financial freedom. I like the ability of being able to make money in my sleep and not on my feet. That's definitely one of my favorites. And I also like the fact that I am able to just work on my own time, and like, I don't have to ask somebody's permission to go to the bathroom. I don't have to ask somebody if I could take a lunch break. Instead of me being paid to build up another person's future, I am paying people tool to help me build my future for not only for myself, but my kids, my future generation. That is something that is so big to me, and that is one of the main reasons why I became an entrepreneur. So now that I told you guys a little bit about my history, the first tip that we're going to jump into is having a mindset of abundance. A lot of people don't really address this because it may not seem like it plays an important role, but I personally went through this and I realized that it's definitely a significance. It's one of the first things that you have to have under control in order to become successful. So before I really started taking my businesses very serious, I had a mindset of fear. For some reason, I just never could really see things working out in my favor. I knew I wanted to be successful, but I couldn't actually visualize myself being successful. I knew I wanted to get married, but I never saw that actually happening for me. I didn't think that I was one of those people who was deserving of the positive things that life has to offer. The moment that I switched that mentality was the moment that things within my business started to flow exactly how it was supposed to. I really spoke the removal of fear out of my life into existence. I just woke up one day and I just wasn't really fearful anymore. I had a conversation with myself and I had a very long conversation with God, and I was just like, I want to do business. I don't see myself doing anything else. I don't have a backup plan. This just has to work. I kid y'all not. It was as if within a second, it was just removed. It was like God came down and literally put his hands inside of me and said, I'm going to take out this negativity and I'm going to replace it with something that's going to help you prosper. And ever since, I just started doing everything full force, not really thinking about tomorrow. I came up with this saying that I'd rather cross that path when I get there and if I get there. So I say this to say that I hear people talk all the time about being afraid to start a business because they don't know what the outcome is going to be like. And with that saying, it's why think about tomorrow when tomorrow can be a beautiful day? So today you're here, you're worried oh my gosh, it might rain, it might snow, this might happen. When in reality, tomorrow you can wake up and the sun is out, the birds are out, people are out. It's just an amazing day. Ever since I was able to shift my mindset, it stopped holding me back from doing a lot of things that I was afraid to do prior to taking my business serious. Of course, I'll think about the fact that there is a risk that comes with it, but I literally feel like business and risk goes hand in hand. You can't have a business without taking a risk. You just can't. You have to view your risk as being calculated. Once you know that you're not making a decision that is obviously stupid, you thought about it, you really contemplated certain things, the good and the bad, and you're okay, this is something that I really want to do, I'm going to give it a try. At that point, you just have to do it and give it to God. So I would say having a mindset of abundance is really important, because once you're able to visualize yourself living the lifestyle that you aspire to live, once you actually start taking the steps into the direction of becoming a successful business owner, doing the things that you're supposed to do, that's when your whole reality will honestly start to change. Prior to me taking my business serious, I would get up every day and I would go and eat. Then I would get back in the bed and I would watch TV all day. I would kind of play around a little bit, maybe get a little bit of work done, and then get right back to the TV and fall asleep. And that was my cycle, continuously, day in, day out. Now, if I have a slow day, I have a slow day because maybe I decided to take the day off, or maybe I'm waiting on inventory to come in and I don't have too much to do. Because of that, when I see the difference in where I am today versus where I was before, the idea of going back to that person who just wakes up and does nothing every single day, it scares me. It literally scares me. And that's why every time I wake up now, I make sure I wake up with a goal in mind. And when you start to actually do the things for your business, you're receiving inventory, you're printing out paperwork, you're talking to vendors, you're doing the things that you have to do to start this business and keep this business afloat, I promise you your mindset is going to change and you're going to actually start feeling like a real business owner, because you're doing the things that you're supposed to be doing to make this business work. The next step in starting a successful business business is planning and researching. This is one of the most important parts. It's also the hardest. And for some reason, it's one of my favorite steps. Like every time I start a new business, I get excited about doing research. Now, doing research can be extremely hard when you're a beginner because you have nobody to turn to. The only thing that you have to depend on is your own knowledge on the industry that you're in. And that can be very, very scary. And I've been there and I understand the feeling. But I'm going to give you guys some steps on how you can properly execute your research. One of the things that I like to do is I like to watch videos, especially on TikTok. TikTok is extremely informative. The videos are short and simple. And I'm just watching different people from different places and different backgrounds kind of speak on how they started on that particular business. I have a few different ventures that I do. I actually started a new business about a month ago. It's an e-commerce. It started out really good, surprisingly. Like, I don't know, that business is just like it's a lot that goes into it. I started already, of course, having knowledge, but this was something completely different from all the other ventures that I had going on. I just remember sitting down and searching up topics on how to start the specific business. And one thing that I do when I'm doing research is that I have learned how to dissect videos. Meaning, for example, if I watch a video and this person says, okay, the first step in starting this business is reaching out to a vendor. As I watch other videos and I see that other people are repeating that as the exact same first step, I'm gonna make a mental note and say, okay, if everybody's saying that finding a vendor is the first step, they have to be telling the truth. Now, when it comes to step 2, let's say one person is saying to find a vendor and another person is saying find packaging. Now you're kind of at a stuck point because it's like, who's telling the truth? Like, what's the real step 1, step 2? At this point, this is when you have to do further digging. Maybe keep watching more videos, or instead of watching videos, you go on Google. Or maybe you have to make a phone call in order for you to figure out what's next. This is what I mean by dissecting videos. The more you dissect videos and information, the easier your steps will fall into place. I promise you, this is what I do with every single business that I've started. I have never had a mentor. I don't really speak too much to other people about the things that I do, like outside of my family. I literally just depend on my knowledge on the industry and I depend on God. Literally, that's it. The steps that I'm telling you guys to take when it comes to doing research and coming up with a plan, I'm not telling you anything that's wrong because I've done it for myself. I've been doing it from the beginning and I'm doing it now. I did it about a month ago when I started this business. And like I said, this business is already on track to do what it does. Like, okay, like that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that. But yes, definitely researching, coming up with a plan. You need to come up with a business name. How do you want the execution of your business to be? Is it just going to be you in the future? Are you going to eventually need employees? How does the business look like when it is up and running and even at the point of where it's prospering? You have to kind of think long term with what it is that you're trying to do. And I feel like that's what some people don't really take into mind. They kind of start a business and they just think about the right now, which of course thinking about the right now is great, but when you know about how far you want your outreach to be, it kind of sets a tone in how the business is ran. At that point, if you know that you want your business to go from point A to point Z, you know that through the process of you getting to point Z, you have to be making small goals so that you are able to finally reach to Z. Versus if your plan is just to, hey, I just want to start a business, I want a side hustle, it doesn't have to be anything too serious, I don't need employees, I'm not expecting to make hundreds of thousands of dollars from it every single year, you're going to kind of run your business a little bit different than a person who wants to get to a point where they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars like every year, every month. So that's why having a plan is important, and it just kind of helps you to stay on track. And staying on track when it comes to running a business is very, very important. You want to make sure you have a notebook. You want to make sure that you take notes, you're studying. That's something that you have to really do prior to starting a business. Don't get excited about an idea and forget to put in the groundwork and you just jump and skip steps, and then you wonder why the business does not have an outcome that you expected for it to have because of the fact that you skip steps. Another thing that I will say too, while you're going through the process of research, make sure you connect with the people who you are watching. That is something that is so important to me. When I'm watching videos, I like to see people who are like me. They're not doing the extraness when it comes to the setup of the video. There's no crazy editing. I like just being able to connect with the person that I'm watching because it makes me feel as if the things that I'm trying to do is obtainable. So for example, with the business that I started recently, the person who I was watching frequently, she's a young girl. She started out like the same point that I am. Her videos just seem really realistic, and I just connected with that, and I connected with her as a person. A lot of people teach, but they don't do. And that's something that I really had to learn. Like, there's so many people on here who teach on topics because they're knowledgeable in it, but they don't actually have a physical business in that industry. Also understand that outside of doing actual research, the hands-on experience is what's gonna play a big role in you becoming successful and understanding your industry. The knowledge that I had at 15 years old versus the knowledge that I now have at 23 is completely different. One of the most important things is understanding your target audience. Your target audience eliminates a lot of things when it comes to a product-based business, because instead of you having a wide variety of people that you're trying to make consumers, you have a smaller circle of people that you're targeting, which will make things a lot easier. So for example, I'm probably always going to use my hair business as the example because I feel like a business like that, beginners are able to relate to it a lot more versus some of the other things that I do, like property management, Airbnb, e-commerce. Those are kind of things that are like a step up. And I'm not saying that beginners can't do it. It's just a little bit more that kind of goes into those areas of business. So I'm probably gonna use my hair business. So I'm gonna use my hair business as the example throughout this video. When I first started my hair business, I decided that I wanted my target audience to be girls who were like me. So like I said before, I was 15 years old. I was working my little 1-2 jobs. I was getting money from my parents. Having a big budget when it comes to buying hair was not a thing for me. And I realized it wasn't a thing for a lot of people my age either. And that's what led me to decide that I wanted to cater to the bougie on a budget girls. That was my thing. That was the saying. Bougie on a budget. Girls who wanted to look good, feel good, while not spending too much money, because I knew exactly how that felt. Since I was able to figure out what my target audience was, it played a big part in me determining my pricing. It played a big part in how I was going to do my advertisements. Like, so much things fell into the way that I conducted the business just off of the simple fact that I figured out what my target audience was. So for example, one of my liners when I was promoting was wigs under $200. Like, that used to pull the girls in, because at this point, Amazon was not really a thing. Like, once I started taking my hair company serious, Amazon selling wigs and having affordable wigs had just started becoming a thing. People weren't really buying wigs on Amazon. I really feel like at that point, a lot of bashing was going on. Like, who was buying a wig off of Amazon? Me now, when I'm going and I'm promoting, I'm like, yeah, I have quality wigs under $200. I had wigs that I was selling for $100. I was beating the competition out. And the reason why I was beating the competition out was because even though I may not be profiting as much as they were profiting, I was selling out more. Say, for example, someone who sells one wig for $500, right? When it takes one client for them to get $500, where me, if I'm selling one wig for $100, it would take 5 customers. However, although it took 5 customers, though, that's 5 people that I have that just supported my business. And those are 5 people who are probably gonna go to their friends and say, hey, I just got this bomb wig from this girl. I only paid $100 for it. You need your hair done? girl, you need a wig, go check her out. Versus that person who, yeah, you made $500 and you had less products that you had to sell and you got your money straight off of one person. You don't kind of have the same benefits and outreach that I do, as well as it's easier to get somebody to spend $100 versus getting somebody to spend $500. That was another thing that played a big part in my hair company being successful. When I tell y'all that I made so much money off of selling wigs, I made a lot of money. I was able to put that money towards my first car, which my first car was a 2018 Audi A4, and I got that in 2021. So my car was only 2 years old when I had gotten her. So another thing that I want to talk about in starting a successful business is how you structure your business. Structuring your business plays an important part for various reasons. One of the things that falls under structuring your business is your business name. My first business name for my hair company was Bougie Bundles Collection, which at 15, that was a cute name. At 23 years old, that name doesn't really fit. And I always advise people, when you start your business, get a name that's going to be fitting as the years go on. Please also keep in mind that you can have a generic name and also get a DBA, which is a doing business as. My business has a generic name, but then it also has a DBA where even though officially it's under the generic name, I'm doing business as, for example, Bougie Bundles Collection, because I like that name so much. So there's so many different ways to get around certain things, but I would definitely say step one, make sure you choose a good business name. I love when I get on the phone with the banks, or if I'm setting up a meeting, I'm opening up accounts, and they ask me, hey, what's your business name? And I say, my business name is so-and-so. It sounds so professional. I love it so much. The next tip that I'm going to give you guys is how to budget and do the finances for your business. So as I had told you guys before, that was something that I struggled with so much when I first started. I didn't know about paying myself. I wasn't aware that I had to reinvest back into the business, even though now I look at that as being common sense. I'm going to give you guys 2 examples on how I budget and I handle my finances for 2 different businesses. For one of my businesses, which is the e-commerce, I do have employees, and that means that the employees need to be paid. For the second business, which would be the example of the hair company, I have no one else. It's just me. I take care of everything. So when I get a payout for my e-commerce business, the first thing that I do is I pay my employees. The next thing that I do is I take out money for my business taxes. This business requires me to file quarterly taxes instead of yearly, which it sucks, but business is business. So I make sure I take out my business taxes because you don't want to play with the IRS. Baby, let me tell you, like, one thing about it, 2 things for sure, I'm not playing with the IRS. Don't come audit me, nothing. Like, I make sure I keep my paperwork in order. This is the point where, okay, I'm left with making a decision on how much money I'm going to pay myself from the remainder. Oh, wait. I lied. With my e-commerce, I have 4 steps actually. The order is my employees, then inventory, then my business taxes, and then the 4th and 5th step is determined based off of really how I'm feeling. So if I'm left with a portion of money, I'll decide how much money I'm going to pay myself and how much money I'm going to put into my business savings account. Depending on how I'm feeling, the type of month that it is, maybe I may pay myself a little bit more. So let's say I have a remaining of $100 left. Maybe this month I'll pay myself $75 and then I'll put $25 in savings. Maybe I'll do 50-50. Sometimes I do 100, but it's rare that I do something like that. I make sure that I always put something into my business savings accounts. Also, when it comes to paying my business taxes, I put those in one of the savings accounts as well because, like I said, I file quarterly taxes, or even because eventually I do plan on switching over to yearly taxes for that business. I don't have, when tax time comes or when my quarterly tax season comes, I don't have to scrummage for money. Like, it's literally right there. And that's why being able to budget is so important in a business. And that's why I do it to a T. I keep track of everything that I do. I write it down. I have a spreadsheet. When it comes to numbers, I'm not very good at math. I kind of do things that work for me. For example, with my accounts, if I'm selling someone money, I literally write a memo as to what the money is being sold for. If I'm depositing money, I keep a note of the date that money was deposited, where I got the money from, and what it's supposed to be used towards. That's how detailed that I get. But you just have to find a way to make certain things within your business work for you. Learning how to pay myself for my businesses was something that was very, very important, because before I would just take my money and throw it in my personal account. I didn't even have a business account at this point. And it's very important, like, if your business is something that you want to take to a whole nother level, learn how to start an official business. Learn about LLCs, learn about S Corps, learn about sole proprietorship. Get knowledgeable when it comes to the legal aspects of your business. What type of taxes does it require you to pay X amount of taxes? Like, you just have to be the one who, you gotta know what's going on, especially in the beginning where you don't really have the funds to be paying for an accountant, paying for a mentor. You have to make things work the best way that you know how to. So when I first started learning how to budget, I actually had the opportunity where a client of mine, this was at the time when I had my hair salon, she was a financial advisor, and she gave me a little insight on budgeting, and she's the reason why I actually do know how to budget and pay myself. And she gave me a little bit of tea when it comes to that, and then I took it up on myself after the fact to do a little bit of research. So I actually invested into a budget binder. It's like a binder that has like little envelopes and labels, and you can kind of use it to keep track of your cash. Another thing that I do like, I have this app called Operatin. Is it called Digit now? It's one of the two. I know that they did like a revamp and they switched the name, but I have the information on the screen and in my description box below. This app is so amazing because basically what it does is it takes money out of your check-ins account every day. It stores it on the app. So I have the app set up for my personal check-ins account, and it just automatically withdraws like any like different amounts every single day. You can set a limit on how much money you want it to take out. It's great because if you're not good at saving, this will help you. Another thing that you can do for those that's not good at saving money, because this is an app that I rarely ever go on. Like, I don't ever go on this app. I actually don't know what that money's ever going to be used for, because I just let it do its thing. You can delete the app and it'll still be taking out the money for you. So out of sight, out of mind. I recommend people to get this app because it's like so good, and a lot of people actually have issues when it comes to savings. So that could just be like a rainy day account that you have for either yourself or for your business. Some of the topics that I'm discussing in today's video, I'm actually going to do standalone videos for them where I dissect a little bit more. So budgeting and finance is definitely going to have its own video in the future. So make sure you guys look out for that. Hit the subscribe button. While we're on the topic of budget, I feel like another thing that should be taken into play is how much money are you going to invest into your business when you first start. So now, depending on the type of business that you're starting, it's going to determine how much money like you end up having to invest. I've always recommend people to sell eyelashes because it's such a low startup cost and you can make a good amount of money off of selling lashes. I definitely did. It's really, I don't want to say it's easy, but compared to certain ventures out there, eyelashes are really, really easy. So for example, you can only have $100. Find a vendor who sells you lashes for like 75 cents to $1. You're getting a lot of lashes for that $100 that you have, and you're able to flip it. And the more you flip it, the more money you're making, but also the more inventory you're able to bring home. Versus a hair company, if you have $100 could probably buy you one bundle. So there's definitely like a difference when when it comes to how much you have to invest into your business, depending on the type of business that you have. But I definitely feel like it's important to have a budget, because if you don't have a budget, you will spend, and business is not really like that. There was times where I was literally putting in the work, like promoting, going outside and getting inventory, doing photo shoots, and I was not seeing a return on my investment because the business was new. And because of that, I will always advise people to make sure that you try your best to keep it at a minimum. If you're able to keep it at a certain minimum, that's amazing, until you get to the point where you're able to invest into the business more. So for example, when I first started my hair company, I wanted this super cute packaging. I wasn't really able to afford it though, so I had to kind of wait until my business was able to fund itself and I was able to invest into the type of packaging that I want. So these are also things that you have to keep in mind when it comes to running your business. How much money do I have to spend? How much money am I willing to risk losing out on? Once you come up with that determination, you're really kind of good to go. I feel like I covered most of the basics when it comes to being able to start a successful business. There's a lot of different factors that honestly plays a part in how you can start a successful business, but I think one of the most important parts is the business owner. If you're a person who you procrastinate a lot, you're lazy, whatever the situation might be, you're going to hold yourself back, and not only yourself, but your business back from the point where you want it to get to because of your actions. So there's times literally where for days and weeks I'm running on no sleep, and I'm getting up every day and I'm doing what I have to do because why? I have businesses to run. I bring my little brother to school almost every day at 7:30. So I get up around 7 o'clock, bring him to school, but I had just went to bed at 5 a.m. So there's days where I'm running like that. I have so much work that I need to do. I have deadlines and I'm running off of 2 hours of sleep. And guess what? When that alarm goes off for 7 o'clock, I'm getting up and I'm going to work. Back in the day, I would have hit snooze. Mom, let him take a cab to school. Let him do something else. Now, no, I get up and I do what I have to do. I work so much to a point where taking naps during the day is uncomfortable for me. If I take a nap during the day, my family knows that I'm very tired and they need to leave me alone and don't say nothing to me. That's how much I put the work in. There's even other times where I'm super tired and I do want to take a nap, and guess what I do? I keep working. I keep pushing because it's I have things that I need to obtain. There's the lifestyle that I want to live. There's things that I want to accomplish. I just love the idea of success. I really don't care about money, and I know sometimes when people hear things like that, they don't believe it because it sounds unbelievable. But my mindset when it comes to money is that as long as you're successful, money is going to follow. I love being able to say yeah, I started a business and my business is doing amazing. My numbers speak for itself without even having to say, well, yeah, my business, I made today, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about money. I literally do not care about money. It's an add-on. It's wonderful. It makes life easier. But that's not really the reason why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. I believe strongly in generational wealth. I believe in making things easier for those to come. And that's really the reason why I work so hard, as well as I want to be able to give back to my family. My family plays a big part in the reason why I am successful. They're super supportive. They just bring different individual traits to my life that helps me, keeps me going. Maybe there's times when I'm sad and I feel unmotivated and my dad comes into my room and he makes jokes and he tries to cheer me up. Then there's my mom, who she'll come and she'll pray and she'll just pour so much life into me. My sister, she's the type where she'd be like, here's $100, go buy you some inventory. And then my little brother, he's just real hands-on. Having people around you who see the vision in you, who value what you're trying to do is so important. And that was something that I told myself for 2024. I'm going to surround myself with people who are like-minded. Because when you sit with people who are negative, they don't see the vision, they don't support what you do, that energy will rub off. If somebody has a dark cloud around them, you're constantly with this person, eventually eventually that dark cloud will come onto you as well. Be careful with who you tell your business to, especially your business ideas. There's so many different things that fall into being successful. I definitely believe that it starts within. Make the changes within yourself and everything else will just fall into place. And always keep God. I cannot emphasize this enough. Always keep God. Let me tell y'all a quick story. When I started my e-commerce, right, my first few days in, I was making no sales. I was at that point where I was ready to give up, and I never ever experienced that feeling before when it came to a business. I remember that I was so down to the point where my mom came in my room and she said, I could see that you're ready to give up. And I said to her, yeah, like I'm ready to just walk away from it all. And she said, go pray about it. I took a shower because that's my safe space. And I just talked to God and I said, God, like, give me a sign. If this is what I'm supposed to be doing, please just give me a sign. And I promise you, you won't hear me like talk about wanting to walk away from it again. I'm going to do what I have to do no matter how hard it becomes. And then I said, give me another sign if this is not for me. And that night I went to bed. The next day, this happened on a Wednesday. That Friday morning, I woke up, finally decided to check my business email because I was not checking it because I wasn't getting any orders. When I tell you guys, I made hundreds of dollars. Like, I made so much money that Friday that it was unbelievable. And then you want to know what else too? I had made money on that Thursday when I wasn't checking the phone, but I didn't know because I wasn't checking the phone. And that's the power of God. And some people will just sit there and say like, that's a coincidence. No, that's God. And I keep God in everything that I do because when you're the CEO, who you gonna turn to? You don't have nobody else to turn to. Like you at the top of the building. Who else is there for you to act like get advice from? And my CEO is God. That's who I go to. That's who I talk to about my problems, and it helps. So I say keep God in everything that you do. Sometimes I have some serious decisions to make. It's between me and God, and that's it. Like I depend on my knowledge within my industry, and I depend on God to guide me through what it is that I'm doing. That's also another thing that I would say to you guys too. Like just remain positive, pray, keep going. Like it's going to get hard. It's not no walk in the park. It's gonna be hard. And you get over those obstacles and you look back and you're like, wow, that's all it took for me to like really get over this. You're going to appreciate it. If you only make $10 off of your business today, appreciate it. You know why? Because that $10 could turn into a $10,000 day. When you work a 9-to-5 job, you will never be able to make $10,000 in a day. Appreciate the small payouts. Appreciate the one person who bought from you this month. Just because it's one person today, next year it could be 1,000 people. And it's so crazy because I was just talking to my friends. They recently moved into an apartment. This time last year, it's so crazy. We were actually in Atlanta and we were filming for my cooking show. None of us had any idea that a year later they were going to end up living out here. Last year when we were out here, we were staying in a B&B. This year you're out here, you're in your own place. So you have to just always like appreciate the small moments. Keep positive, keep going, persevere. And if nobody else believes in you, I believe in you and you believe in yourself. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it helped. If you have anything to share in the comments below, please let me know. I love reading y'all comments. Follow me on my social medias and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.